gentlemen, welcome back to In the Bag. Mr. Brad, how you doing today, sir?
Good, man. In true in the bag fashion, throwing discs again this week, and it was raining, so feeling good about that. But it's nice. We're getting to that daylight savings time, which means our weekly is back in the afternoon here at the at the foundation, and you know I'm holding down the lead right now. But Trevor is starting to, and Hunter and all of those guys, Connor, are starting to come to weekly, so I will not hold first for very long, but still
Hey,
a lot of fun.
I held it at least, right? Got to hold it. It matters if you held the title once.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Well, I'm sure while out there playing your weeklies, you're repping our presenting sponsor of In the Bag, Flippy Disc Golf, making us look good, feel good out there on the course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited. Talked to Aaron yesterday. In the bag merch for us is on its way, so we should have that here in the next week or so. Pretty pumped about that. If you haven't checked out the new designs that he did for us for the In the Bag podcast, there's a link in the description. Make sure you check those out. Pretty cool, pretty unique little like blueprint-esque shirt design. So I'm excited to get mine in.
Absolutely. I think he did a phenomenal job. And having chatted with Aaron as well, it's like he just had such a cool way of viewing how influencers, how creators, how pros, all of that can work together. And so check out In the Bag merch on Flippy's website. And there's other creators you can go there and support as well. So just grab and support everyone you're loving on the YouTubes and on the podcast network. One-stop shop, Flippy Disc Golf.
Absolutely. All right. So what do we got for us today, Robbie? I know episode 44, we're digging in, and I think we're going putters again this week.
We are going putters, but this putter in particular is when we see this bag, Kyron has a unique one that I've not seen like this in quite some time. So very excited to have him in. You want to go ahead and bring him in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to the podcast, Kyron. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Just to let you know, it's pronounced Kyron. Everybody
Kyron.
does it to me. Yeah, everybody does
Kyron.
it.
Noted.
Dude, I apologize.
That's okay.
I trust me. I am all about a name and being correct about names. Here's a fun fact for you guys. Did you know there are people in the world, and maybe you are two of them, that don't love nicknames? Like if someone called me Rob, I would be like, all right, cool. But then again, I'm also trying to be called Leroy in my life. But I've met people that like they may be like a Joseph, and I'll call them Joe, and they're like, yeah, I appreciate it. My name's Joseph.
Yeah, my wife's like that. She's a Kimberly. She does not like to be called Kim. So I guess I married one of those people.
Yeah. Wow. So fascinating. So Kyron, we got it. Locking it in, my man. Well, Kyron, welcome to the show. We love for our guests to get to know you a little bit. And so we have a couple questions that are standard that we ask our guests. First, how long have you been playing disc golf?
Oh, probably about 10 years.
Okay. Awesome.
Just a few.
Awesome. I love it. And so if we were to set you up on a hole, wide open field, and we put a basket out there and we said, hey, we're not looking for your max distance, but we're saying, how far do you think you can controllably throw a golf shot? How far are you talking backhand? How far are you talking forehand?
I'm thinking right hand, backhand, 350, forehand, 300.
Okay. Awesome. So definitely some competent distance for sure. Do you play in tournaments?
I do. Yeah.
What division do you play in tournaments?
Typically advanced. I don't think sometimes I wonder if I should be in advanced, but I just kind of jumped up there from a rec one year and just stayed. So,
bro, mad respect, Kyron. That is exactly how my tournament journey went. I played literally one tournament. My first tournament I ever played, I played in rec. And my rating that I got from that tournament, I played advanced from there on out.
Nice.
Until last year where I decided, yeah, I'm like a mediocre advanced player. Why not jump and be the bottom and worst open player every tournament? That'd be fun. So, alas. All right, so that's distance. Let's talk putting. We set you up on the putting green, and you have a stack of 10 putters at 15 feet. You have a stack of 10 putters at 25 feet, and a stack of 10 at 40 feet. How many are you making in each station?
15, probably 7 or 8. Okay. 25, it's going to drop quite a bit. I'm going to say 5. maybe
Okay.
4. And then 42.
Okay. I love it. Are you a stepper or solid base?
I step every once in a while. It depends on the distance. 30, 33, I'm not stepping, but 35 and beyond, I'll step. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's definitely helpful. Final question is, what would you say is the biggest strength of your game?
Probably a little like touch forehand approach shots, or maybe my drives. Those are 2 things I'm most confident in. So,
Okay.
yeah, even though the
Very
drives
nice.
don't go so great a lot of times, but I feel confident with
I
a
feel
driver
that.
in my hand.
See, that is a feeling that I have never felt and not sure. I
Mhm.
hope one day I will, but that is definitely not me, my brother.
I kind of feel the same with like a chainsaw. Like I have no business like wielding one, but I just feel very powerful and in control when I have a chainsaw. That may be a problem for another podcast, I guess, but
Yeah, we'll talk about that in our foundation psychiatry or like
Mhm.
our foundation therapy channel we got coming out. It'll be great.
yeah,
So when you
spring
say
2023.
yeah, look forward to it, guys. So, Kyron, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through your bag, kind of ask you some questions about why you have these discs in your bag over others. And I'm fascinated on the top end of this bag for sure. So, quick count, you have 3, 6, 9, 18. You got 19 discs in your bag, and out of those 19, 11 of them are fairway drivers or faster, and 8 of them are putters. So, the obvious question, why no mid ranges?
Some of those putters, the rats that I throw, um, I feel like I can basically throw those like mids, and
Okay.
yeah. So like sometimes they push to 300 feet, so it's kind of like I don't really need a whole lot of mid range. Although whenever I did put those discs into the website, I did realize, man, I have a huge hole here right in the middle.
Mhm.
Yeah. That mydiscbag.com, I would say the nice thing about mydiscbag is that it does help like show some holes real fast, but the other is there are certain discs that we have in our bag that like if you don't, one cool thing, you can adjust the numbers on them, but like if you don't adjust the numbers, some of them, I remember our second guest we ever had, Sean, came on and he was like, yeah, I got this origin, and where he had his origin on the flight chart and where it actually was very, very different.
Mm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, so definitely some differences there. I can see it, and I think I would consider the rat. Brad, have you ever thrown a rat or held a rat?
I feel like I held one in the used section. I couldn't tell you anything about it though.
Yeah, I definitely think the rat would qualify. I call it a putter. I would definitely see it as more of a mid range type deal.
Mhm.
I think the rat was like somewhat Innova's answer to like for one of their first answers to a zone type
Yeah,
deal.
that's what I was thinking based on what it looks like here.
So, but I would say not as stable as the zone by any means.
Mm-mm.
Still got some hook to it, but harpoon like if you remember throwing the harpoon.
Okay. Okay.
So, okay, but we want to talk distance drivers, Kyron. So you've got in your bag at the top end. I'm very curious about you've got a charger and a shrike in there.
Yeah.
So what are the differences between those two for you?
Actually, so they're both really pretty new to my bag. I just added them in probably 2 weeks ago, and the Charger's straighter. The Shrike's a little bit lighter weight and turns a lot more. So I got for that really if it's an open field long distance driver, a little bit tough to control, but I can really get some distance in it. So I put it on a Hyzer and it pops up and then turns and then slightly fades at the very end. So yeah, it's kind of fun to watch it fly, but It's mainly just for distance. But the charger, it does actually hook back a little bit, and I don't have to put it on as much hyzer on release, and it goes straight a long ways. So
Okay. So knowing the Shrike's in there for that kind of mass distance shot, what's the Daedalus serve for you?
that's really, it's pretty much the same. They fly almost exactly the same. I actually
Okay.
would say that my Daedalus right now is more flippy and turns harder. So it's almost. In fact, I'm going to give it to my dad here in the next couple weeks because,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder because the Daedalus to me, Brad, have you thrown a Daedalus before?
No, I haven't.
The Daedalus is, I feel like when I see a Daedalus in someone's bag, my two thoughts are, one, this dude's been playing for at least 7 to 8 years, because I feel like the modern player just would never even go to a Daedalus. Or two, they received a Daedalus in a used bin or from someone who's been playing for 7 to 8 years, at least. So, yeah, the Daedalus alone kind of sold me out, Kyron, that like, okay, this man's been around the game for a little bit, because I remember having a Daedalus in my bag as well for a little while and been like, man, this thing is amazing. It was like, it's like the first disc that wasn't a katana that you could just like smash and it just stood up. The problem is classic Innova, you would occasionally find a Daedalus that was a destroyer in disguise, and you'd be like, "Oh, this thing's gonna fly." What? So, I love that. I love that you even identified, "Hey, the Daedalus is getting too flippy. Like, I can't trust it enough." So, going and finding a different mold like the Shrike, definitely interesting there. So I'm gonna kind of like merge your fairways and your distance drivers a little bit. So the RoadRunner flippier than the Daedalus.
Actually, no.
Okay.
For some reason, that Roadrunner, like I got it. It's max weight, Halo disc, and that the reason why I got it is because I wanted something with like a little bit of turn, but then something that would like kind of be a little straighter. And so far it's just been really perfect. And I don't really throw it all that much, only on a couple different holes. So it's really held its flight pretty well. And yeah, so it's not as beat. It hasn't beat in. I've had it in my bag for probably a year and a half now. So uh, it's doing really well.
Come on. Well, let's head over to your destroyers. You got 3 destroyers in the bag. What do the 3 destroyers do? Like, what's the differences between those?
Yeah. So I can't. How many destroyers do I have on there? Because right now I'm looking at my bag and I have like 5 in the bag. But
That's fair. So it says you have a pink Halo Star, a black Halo, and a orange super lightweight one.
yeah, yeah. So the pink one is my this overstable destroyer. So that one is not the one that I'm going to be throwing 350. It's going to go like 300, a little bit more. It's just really stable. Throw it into a headwind, and it fights back every time. And then that black one is just more. It's straighter, so it just pushes a little bit further for me, but still has that reliable fade. And the destroyer is probably right now that orange one that's lighter weight. It's probably somewhere between the charger that I have and the Shrike. So
Okay.
it's probably less stable than that charger, but um, more stable than the Shrike. And uh, basically, that's just another one that's like in there for max distance. If I have a tailwind, um, and basically, I just want the destroyer is I feel most comfortable with it. Like I said, I've been only had the charger and the Shrike in there for a couple weeks now, so I just feel more confident with the destroyer for some reason. So
Yeah. So would it be safe to say that like with that orange lightweight destroyer that that has the job and the Shrike is at best going to replace that orange destroyer, not give you a new shot, if that makes sense?
Um, Probably. However, that Shrike is it's got a really unique flight. So I don't think that I could do the same things with that destroyer. You know, um,
Yeah.
so
Maybe more so the Charger then, because the Charger still goes straight for you a long way, but has a little bit of finish. So maybe that's kind of what that gap there seems a little closer. If I can ask too, so you have your very overstable Pink Halo Destroyer.
yeah.
I mean, and then you have this ape that is obviously very overstable. I mean, are they kind of overlapping there, or is the ape like a utility disc specifically?
It's more utility, and it's um, also like one that I keep in the bag for those like extreme wind tournaments. When you just show up to a tournament and the wind is just treacherous. So you're like
Hmm.
even my stable destroyer is turning over, and I can't control anything. So you just pull the ape out, and it
Hmm.
keeps you in the fairway. you know.
Yeah. And contextually, Brad, he's also in Oklahoma. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was. That was my next question. So,
Yeah.
remind me where you are again. That makes way more sense. And I mean, I have the similar thing. I have the Cloud Breaker in my bag, which I have no business throwing, but I have it just in case I like really need to hit something in the wind that and
Mm.
make sure it does not turn on me. So, I get that for sure.
okay. Well, Kyron, so I can so I'm connecting all the dots up there. Um Really the disc that I'm most curious about, because you talked about that like touch forehand approach with the rat.
Mm.
You throw the rat on backhand as well. I'm guessing that's where you can push it up to that like 300 feet. Has a little bit of fade to it at the end, not a
Mm.
ton, but enough, right? I'm curious about the AVR3 and the Devil Hawk.
Yeah. Um, so they feel really similar holes. The
Okay.
Devil
Hmm.
Hawk is definitely it's more stable, um, and even overstable compared to the that AVR3. Um, I've been throwing that AVR3 a lot longer, so it is one of those discs that when I have it in my hand, I just feel more confident with. Um, I just my brother gave me that Devil Hawk for Christmas, and I just kind of put it in the bag, and then it just hasn't left. Um, but it's definitely the Devil Hawk is definitely more stable. I feel like it flies farther too. Um, just because whenever I put that much torque on the AVR3, it tends to turn over on me.
Okay.
The AVR3 is more like um, it's more kind of like the rat. Like the rat and the AVR3 are really, really close, to be honest. Um, and then and if I'm like, um, 200 feet out from a basket and I'm just trying to lay it up really nice and neat by the basket, then maybe the Devil Hawk, whereas the AVR3 is going to come more into play like 100 feet or maybe a little more. So and I throw the Devil Hawk off the tee pad a little bit more than I would the AVR3. The Devil Hawk more than the AVR3. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I would agree. Hearing you kind of talk about them, it definitely feels like they're filling similar slots.
yeah,
Still a little bit of nuance to them that I think the challenge I would give, and I've given like listeners in the past, is take. It sounds like the Devil Hawk it's definitely newer.
yeah,
So if you had a round where you were like, take a couple weeks where you know you're going to be playing a good bit, and leave the AVR3 at home,
yeah,
just take the Devil Hawk and ask yourself, like while you're playing, okay, do I find myself like truly missing the AVR3? And am I missing it because I just like it's a comfort piece, or am I missing it because I literally am not getting the shots that I need out of said Devil Hawk? So
Right.
definitely a curious option there. Brad, we had you go try 2 discs that I think before we like expose those, we have to talk about the Voodoos for a brief second, just because
For
if
sure.
people are watching and they're looking at the chart, they're going to be like, how are you not going to talk about the fact that he has 4 discs in his bag of the same mold? So your Voodoos, we had talked off air. You said you mostly use them for putting. You sometimes throw them for warm up, but sometimes during a round.
Right. So in the round, typically I'm either throwing. So there are two my like pure white voodoos. They're my new kind of putters that I just putt with. They have a more reliable like flight path than the other two that I have in my bag. So I will do like a touch approach shot, like a right hand backhand, just kind of float it up near the basket. Um, the other two are kind of more beat in, and I every once in a while will throw one off a tee pad through a really wooded course, and it's got to be a really specific hole. Like right now, I'm thinking of Noble. There's a hole where it's hard to get through the trees, and when my disc hits a tree, I just want it to kind of fold and fall, as opposed to hit the tree and shoot into the really thick trees. Um, But for the most part, I carry the extra 2 voodoos just because I'm warming up before the round, and I don't want to have to constantly be walking instead of putting. So I carry 4. So I get more reps in.
Yeah. So Brad, as someone who didn't throw a lot of mid ranges for a long time, can definitely kind of connect with that. Like, I have putters that go as far as my mid ranges. Right. I thought this was a very unique challenge for you. What 2 discs did you end up throwing today?
All right, so I threw the Zero Medium Pure today and Cosmic Electron Proxy.
Okay, so the Proxy, we know you have a relationship with the Proxy already.
With an Eclipse Proxy, which after throwing today, those are different discs, and that's okay. It fills the gap that I want from it, but it also made me like think about, again, we all know that plastic affects flight and stability, so that it's very obvious Eclipse versus Cosmic Electron. I'll just say that.
Okay. So going into today, how did you feel? Like, did you have a one that you were like, this might win out before you even throw the discs?
Yeah, I thought the Proxy, because obviously I've already thrown it. I love the MV. They have a very similar hand feel. So I had high hopes for the Proxy winning out initially.
Okay. And then how'd it go while you were out there?
It went really well. I mean, the Proxy flew like I expected it to. Like, I expect it to be more understable than the Eclipse one, obviously. The Pure I threw in a like a special episode we did with Jesse. Shout out Jesse, Trash Panda, when we can kind of compare the Pure to the Inner Core just from a flight perspective. And I really liked the Pure that I threw, and I just kind of never went back to it. And these Zero Medium Pures came out not too long ago, and they just have, if you pick them up, like to put them on the shelf or whatever, they felt really good. So I was kind of excited to throw them. And what I remembered liking about the Pure is how straight they are, like out of the box, but also how like they're not like going to flip on you, and you can like kind of effortlessly get them out to that like 200, 220 range with a kind of like a just nice smooth toss, if you will. I definitely think the Pure has more glide than is in the flight number, which is fine. But yeah, very straight, good hand feel. Like, I like a throwing putter to have a little bit of like bulk on the rim, but not too much. And it's just like in that nice medium spot. So the Pure really impressed me today. If you have specific questions, Robbie, I can answer those.
Yeah. So Kyron has a lot of stable stuff in his bag. From
Mhm.
hearing kind of your descriptions, Kyron, like when you're throwing, especially like your rats or your through your devil hawk, when you're really seeing the most turn out of it is because you've over torqued it or like thrown it too hard, which
Mm.
in Kansas or in Oklahoma wind can be like I'm sure you kind of have to have somewhat more stable stuff in your bag. But I'm imagining that it's not 30-mile-an-hour winds every day of the week.
Not every day.
So,
Just every other day.
yeah. So I wonder, Brad, as someone who also like, that natural Hyzer release that we're working on, stepping into like the more neutral to understable options,
Mhm.
how did you feel like, does that open up easiness for shots? Does that like, what kind of options does that give you?
Yeah. Well, I will say that over the course of the last couple weeks, really made a concise effort to fix that Anheuser release. I think we're pretty much there with some tips you gave me, Robbie, when you were in town. But um, definitely with a more neutral option that I know I'm not going to turn over gives me some confidence. Because really, I think the hardest shot in disc golf is a straight shot, like a tunnel shot straight up the middle. But also, you want something that's not so like understable that it flips on you immediately, but you want something that has like a touch of understability so you can like shape very easily. Because again, I'm still like a relatively new player in the scope of things, and like shaping like is not exactly the easiest thing to do, right? So like that's what I liked about the Pure. I kept like in my head mentally making a note like, love how the proxy feels. It flies like I think it can, but I don't know how much shaping I can do with this proxy. It's like going to be a specific shot or maybe two specific shots. The Pure, um, I I threw it like I think it was 260 or something on a big Sky Anheuser, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that. But it'll hold the Anheuser line. But if I like chuck it and want to throw it very straight, it'll flip up a little bit for me and just go very very straight for a long time. So I had some versatility that I wasn't kind of expecting.
Hmm. I noticed when you said like the hardest shot in disc golf is that stray shot. Kyron had a very, for those of you watching, had a very big reaction to that. I'm sure most of us can feel that deep in our soul. So I guess my question coming down to it, Brad, is looking between these two discs, seeing Kyron's bag, seeing us talk kind of through it. Is there one of those two options that you think would open up some shot shaping opportunities for Kyron and what he's got in his bag right now?
Yeah, and like I said, I was completely prepared to recommend the proxy, but Pure won today. Um, when I heard you talk about that specific hole in the woods, now we don't. I mean, it's fine to have discs for specific holes and specific places you play all the time. That's fine, but I think the Pure will give you that comfort, and I think you'll like the hand feel of it based on like kind of the plastic types you have in your Voodoo and like your Devil Hawk. I think you'll like how this plastic feels. Uh, Somewhat different, but I think it has like the vibe of the feel that you like. I think it'll be easy for you to shape, especially for you who's been playing longer, and I'm going to assume probably have better form and such. I think you'll be able to shape this very easily. It also has a little bit of gumminess to it, so if it hits the trees you talk about, it's not going to spin off and go 150 feet into the deep trees. It kind of hit and sit, hopefully for you. I don't know. I think you'll have some effortless distance in here, but also for you, I think you maybe be able to hyzer flip this a little bit more. I think you'd be able to do a lot more shot shapes than I would be able to do with it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Kyron, does that sound like something you're interested in? Be willing to test it out and let us know if it actually helped or anything?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Dude, come on. Well, we would love to have you on for a future episode then, if you're willing.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll get this shipped out to you, Kyron. I will be very curious to see
Oh, heck yeah.
how you feel about it, and I think you'll love it. I think it fits very well in your bag and gives you some options on that like neutral to right side of the graph here that you just don't currently have. So
Thanks.
Yeah. Dude, well,
course.
Kyron, thanks for coming on, man. Hope it was painless as possible, we'll say. And
Yeah.
looking forward to having you on a future episode, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Here we go. 44 episodes on our way to conclusion, man. It's just crazy. Feel like we're I love that we continue to evolve, and I love that. Yeah, like
That was
this.
efficient,
It
everyone. That
was.
was an efficient episode. We had some time constraints for our guest. We wanted to be respectful of him, headed off to work, but that was efficient.
Yeah. So hopefully a little bit of a shorter episode for you guys. I know we've heard some people in the past have been like, I really love those shorter episodes. And then other people are like, nah, man, I like when you talk about the foils on the discs and like, I want that elaborate in the bag.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. What's your ideal
Yeah.
length of this podcast? I'm very curious to hear what you all say. So leave that in the comments below.
Yeah.
If it's 0, I'm sorry, but we're not quite there. But you know,
if it's 0, you're not helping yourself by commenting. I'll just go ahead and let you know that.
Yeah,
you're gonna get this recommended more to you.
Yeah, why are you here? But yeah, like, is it 30 minutes? Is it 40 minutes? Is it 60 minutes? We'd like to know, because again, I think for me, I think it just varies on the topic. So I'd be curious to see what you all say.
Totally. And I will say, I'm trying to switch things up with not only like the guests we have and which ones we're talking about, but next week we have a super special episode. It's going to be a very unique one because we aren't bringing this person on in an effort to sort of like critique their bag or to recommend anything. But we're going to bring them on and she's going to kind of take us through her journey. And because I feel like, Brad, we've spent so much time over 44 episodes learning how to build a bag and teaching people how to build a bag. So what if we brought someone else on who's gone through their personal journey of doing this on a professional setting and
love it,
see what we can learn from that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I hope you all stick around for that episode next week. It should be a blast. I'm very excited about it too.
Absolutely. But today we have a special sponsor of the episode, if we want to call it that, right? The Hyzer Club is, if you guys aren't familiar, the Patreon of Foundation Disc Golf. And if you've ever listened to a Foundation podcast before, you've probably heard about the Hyzer Club,
Right.
the Hyzer Club Invitational coming at the end of the year or middle of the year. But Brad, there's something special going on with the Hyzer Club in the month of March.
Yeah, so March, what we're doing for all of you who have said, hey, I might want to be a part of the Hyzer Club. I might want to get some discounts. I might want to have access to exclusive merch and an exclusive store and extra podcasts, extra videos. And you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to try it or not. This month is a month to do that. We're offering a 30-day free trial to the Hyzer Club this month. So now's your chance. Go in. You can just go to patreon.com/foundation disc golf, I believe. Forgive me. We'll put the link in the description below, so it's easy for y'all to find. But just go there and you could just sign up like you're going to sign up normally, and the 30-day free trial option will be there. Just click on that and you're in. You can get access to the Hyzer Club mailbag, again, additional video content, and then there's some discounts, exclusive merch that everyone has access to if you're a member of the Hyzer Club. It's pretty cheap every month, so there's different tiers and different options. You get different perks for each of those levels, but hey, man, it is worth, if you love Foundation content and want some extra, that's a very easy, cheap way to get that. Absolutely. So try it out this month for 30 days for free.
Yeah, and I think one of the best parts about like a Patreon community is access to a like a Discord and stuff like that. Is exactly. Really fun because especially if you find yourself as someone who is watching live disc golf, there's a live disc golf chat inside of the Hyzer Club where now when you're sitting at home, I know for me personally, Brad, you're fortunate enough that if you want to watch live disc golf, like Kimberly and the kids will, I'm sure, watch some of it with you.
They will actually.
Yeah, that ain't me, brother. When I'm watching live disc golf, like I kind of have to convince my wife to want to be a part of it and watch it with me. And so like when Calvin was tearing it up at LVC, I'm sitting there in live Discord chats going nuts, and I've got other people going nuts with me. Meanwhile, the people at home are like,
"What's happening?
I'm trying to watch Emily in Paris, my guy." Like,
that's funny. That's awesome. Yeah, I forgot about that. And then also, our Hyzer Club actually gets early access to drops, so that is also a huge thing too. So in the era of things selling out instantly, it is definitely a perk to be a part of the Hyzer Club. So again, we'll link it in the description below. It's a 30-day free trial, a true free trial. So just try it out. If you like it, we'd love to have you hang around, and we're going to keep getting more and more involved with that group of people, because they are our core people, and we'd love
Absolutely.
you to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And speaking of early drops and early access, Brad, what's new in the warehouse?
Well, speaking of core and core people, we've got a restock of the inner cores from Trash Panda. Look at that. That was like segue into a segue. Love that. But we got a restock there. Again, everyone's loving them. Jesse, shout out again, sent me a couple the factory seconds that are sweet. So I'm working on that. I've been putting with them in the warehouse, and I'm just like, why am I not putting with these things?
Wow. Okay.
It's like I can't hit a 30-40 footer with my roaches to save my life right now, but I just tossed them randomly. The last 2 days I've made like 90% of them from 40 feet. I'm like, okay, maybe there's something working here. But anyway, we got those restocked. We have a few Ledgestone discs left if you haven't got those. Doomsday, if you want to try out those molds, are available as well. We had a new trilogy drop. Today's Thursday when we're filming this, so there's some new plastic drop in there. The very, very beautiful Fusion Orbit Enforcers.
Yes.
They're just
Gorgeous.
beautiful. There's a Moonshine. Is it true? No, Judge. Moonshine Judge. A couple other cool Supreme releases are coming out, so make sure you check out the new releases there for all of the trilogy. I'm gonna say maybe I got the shipping information. We might have the new Get Freaky zones up Friday at 5:00.
Ooh.
We're supposed to get them in tomorrow. It just depends when the truck gets here, but we'll do everything in our effort to get those up. If you haven't seen them, they look sick. So those will be available hopefully when you're listening to this podcast. So if you're listening to it now, pause it, go get you one, because they might be gone if you don't. So those should go up. As always, the Bogey Row stamp in the Innova stamps that we have. So we have Rock 3s, Toros, Firebirds, and Destroyers. We have a few of those left, so make sure you check those out. And then we also have new dry fits. So check those out. Robbie doesn't know this, but he has a couple headed his way. I sent them out yesterday to him.
Oh,
so,
my Atlanta.
I know. Gifts on gifts. So
ready in time.
Make sure you check those out. So appreciate you all, as always, because of the shopping you do at foundationdisc.com, because of the consuming you do of our YouTube content and our podcast. It makes us be able to do what we all love to do. So thank you all so much for that. And we look forward to seeing you all and hearing from you all in the comments on this episode and the next one.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have an amazing rest of the week. Fantastic weekend. And while you're out there, you're like, man, I threw that disc. It was so good. What do you do with it?
I guess you keep it in your bag. We'll see you all next week.